What happens when your phone rings at 2 a.m.? Your parents are panicked, screaming for $15,000, claiming your brother's life is on the line. And then the police call moments later, revealing a truth so shocking it shatters everything you thought you knew about your family? Before I begin, make sure you subscribe to Roots of Revenge and like and comment right now, because this story spirals into something so tense, so cinematic, you'll want to see every twist as it unfolds. The ringtone tore through the quiet like a siren. My eyes shot open. No one calls at this hour without a reason, and the dread settling in my chest told me it wasn't good. "Hello?" I whispered, voice hoarse from sleep. "Honey, it's urgent." My mother's voice came, trembling so violently it was almost impossible to understand. "Your brother, he's in danger. We need, please listen." Then my father's voice cracked through, desperate, almost shouting, $15,000 now! Please! You have to!" I bolted upright, heart hammering. "What? What happened? Where is he? Is he hurt?" My mother gasped between sobs, words barely forming. "Please don't ask questions. Just send it. Hurry!" "What? Send what? For what?" Panic clawed at me. My mind raced, trying to connect the dots, but every explanation felt worse than the last. My father's voice was low now, trembling, terrified in a way I'd never heard. He messed up, badly. The people he's involved with, this is life or death. You have to help him." I shook my head, frozen. I don't understand. What did he do?" There was shuffling, a crash in the background. My mother shrieked. Then my father returned, voice almost a whisper. "I don't have time to explain. You must send the money." Click. The line went dead. I stared at the screen, numb. My chest ached. The room was too quiet. The shadows in the corners of the bedroom seemed darker than usual. $15,000? For what? I had no idea. My brother had always made mistakes, yes, but nothing that could justify this. My phone buzzed again. Different number. Unknown caller. "Hello?" I answered, voice trembling. "This is Officer Delgado with the County Police Department," a calm, measured voice said. "Are you the sibling of Michael Davis?" "Yes," I whispered. "Your brother is involved in an ongoing case. We need to speak with you immediately." My stomach sank. "The police? Why?" "My parents just called. They said he's in danger, that someone's demanding money." The officer's tone was steady. "That's why I'm calling. Your brother is safe. He's not in danger, and the claims of a $15,000 ransom are not true. Do not send any money." I felt the floor drop out from under me. "Not true? Then why?" My parents sounded terrified. "They were manipulated," the officer said, "or misinformed. We're investigating, but the story you've been told is not accurate." The line went dead. I sat on the edge of my bed, shaking, heart racing, mind spinning. Misled, manipulated. What could this possibly mean? By the time I arrived at the police station, I felt hollow. Everything I had thought about my parents, about my brother, about what was real and what wasn't, it was unraveling. Inside the station, the cold fluorescent lights did nothing to calm the storm inside me. Officer Delgado greeted me with a nod. "Thank you for coming. Let's talk." We sat in a small interview room. The walls were bare, the air thick with tension. The officer placed a folder on the table and opened it. Photos, records, screenshots, and voice memos spilled into view. My heart pounded as I listened to a recording of my brother's voice, laughing, confident, calm. "Just tell them I owe money," he said. "Use Mom crying. She makes it believable. They'll send it." I froze. My parents' voices, their panic, the pleading, they had been used, staged. Every tear, every desperate word, they were part of a lie. Delgado looked at me gravely. "Your brother created this scenario. Your parents thought it was real, but he was manipulating them to get money. He's in custody now, but the truth is more complicated than you imagined." I felt my stomach twist. Anger, betrayal, disbelief all crashed through me. My brother, the person I had trusted, had turned our family's love and fear into a scheme. My parents, who had begged me for help, were innocent victims, and yet their faces haunted me in my mind, the raw terror, the pleading. I sat there trying to process everything, my hands trembling on the table. Outside, the world carried on, but inside, my life had shifted. Nothing was as it seemed. Everything I thought I knew about my family, my brother, my parents, had changed in a single night. And I realized as the officer detailed the next steps that the night was far from over. The truth, the confrontation, and the fallout were only beginning. The interview room smelled faintly of disinfectant, cold and clinical, but nothing could touch the heat of my racing thoughts. Every detail from that 2 a.m. phone call replayed in my mind like a nightmare on loop. My parents' frantic voices, my brother laughing in the recordings, and the calm, chilling tone of Officer Delgado. Every sound carved itself into my chest. He slid a folder across the table toward me. "Everything you need to know is here," he said, his voice steady but heavy with gravity. I hesitated. My hand hovered over the folder. Part of me wanted to slam it shut and run. Part of me needed to know. I opened it. Inside were photographs, screenshots of text messages, bank records, and transcripts. And then I saw it. Voice memos from my brother. Him, smiling in a recording, saying, "Mom's crying? Perfect. That'll make it easier to get the money." My hands shook so violently I could barely hold the folder. This can't be real," I whispered. Officer Delgado's eyes were serious. "I know it's hard to hear, but your parents were being used. They weren't lying. They believed him. But the truth is, your brother has been manipulating them for weeks, maybe months." I sank into the chair, feeling a hollow emptiness spread through me. "But why? Why would he do this to us?" Delgado leaned forward, lowering his voice, because he realized no one would stop him. "He knows how much your parents love you both. He knew their fear would work in his favor." The weight of the words pressed down on me like stones. My brother, the one I had grown up protecting, the one I had laughed with, cried with, fought with, had betrayed us all in the cruelest way imaginable. I could feel tears burning my eyes. I can't believe this. My parents, they sounded terrified. My voice caught. "I almost sent them the money." "You would have," Delgado said quietly. "And that's exactly why he did it. He counted on it. He knew you'd act on instinct. That's what made this work so well." I buried my face in my hands, my heart hammering. The officer cleared his throat. "We intercepted them at the ATM. They were trying to withdraw the money when we arrived. That's when your parents confessed everything. They're shaken, but they're safe." The room spun. My parents, my pillars of strength, had been reduced to frightened, pleading shadows. My brother had taken their love, twisted it, and turned it against them. Delgado continued, flipping through the folder. "There are also messages indicating he's been planning this for a while, threatening consequences if anyone didn't comply. He thought this would force you into paying without involving the authorities." I felt bile rise in my throat. "And my brother? He's at the station now?" "Yes," Delgado said. "He's in a holding cell. He wants to see you, but I need you to understand. The conversation may not go as you hope." I took a deep breath, trying to steady the shaking of my hands. I don't know if I can face him. Not after this. Not after what he's done to Mom and Dad." Delgado nodded, as if he'd expected my hesitation. "You'll have to decide for yourself. But you need to know the extent of his actions. This isn't just a prank, not just a mistake. It's manipulation, and it's serious. You have a choice. Face him and demand answers, or let the authorities handle it completely. I swallowed hard, trying to digest the enormity of it all. He had turned our family's trust into a weapon. Every tear, every desperate plea from my parents had been a tool in his hands, and I had been almost fooled, too. Do you think he'll feel guilty? I asked softly, my voice barely audible. Delgado's expression didn't change. Some people feel nothing. Some people only feel the consequences when it's too late. I can't tell you which he is. I closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. The thought of facing him, the brother I loved, the brother who had betrayed everything, made my chest tighten. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to run. But part of me needed answers. The door to the interview room creaked open, and a uniformed officer stepped in. "He's ready if you are," she said. I nodded, taking a shaky breath. My legs felt like lead as I rose from the chair. Every step toward that cell felt surreal, as if I were walking through a dream I couldn't wake up from. And then I saw him, sitting there, arms crossed, leaning back, the same crooked smile I remembered from childhood plastered across his face. Calm, confident, unshaken. "Hey," he said casually, almost mockingly, as if the chaos he'd caused wasn't real. "Looks like they finally sent you to check on me." My throat tightened. "Michael, why?" He leaned forward slightly, eyes glinting. "Why what? Come on, you know why." "No, I don't," I snapped. "You scared our parents half to death. You demanded $15,000. You lied. You manipulated. Why would you do that to the people who love you the most?" He shrugged, nonchalant. The cold metal of the holding cell bars pressed into my eyes like a barrier between the brother I knew and the man sitting before me. Michael leaned back casually, one leg crossed over the other, his crooked smile a mask for whatever he was thinking. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and despair, but the real weight came from the room itself, the tension, the betrayal, the raw emotional electricity. "You're here," he said, tilting his head. "Figured you'd come eventually." My voice was tight, trembling, yet sharp. "Michael, do you even realize what you've done? You lied to Mom and Dad. You scared them. You demanded $15,000 and—" I swallowed hard, fighting tears. "And for what? So you could— what? Prove a point?" He shrugged, unbothered. "They overreacted, and I got what I needed. You almost sent the money, didn't you?" The words hit me like a punch. Almost? Almost. Everything Mom and Dad had said, the sobs, the pleading, the terror, it had been enough to trick even me. "Yes, I almost did," I admitted, voice cracking. But I stopped, because something in my gut told me something didn't add up. Michael's smirk faded slightly, replaced by a flicker of interest, or maybe respect. "Good instinct," he said, voice softer now, almost human. "Too bad your parents didn't listen to the same instinct." I clenched my fists. "You manipulated them. You used their love, every tear, every word. They were tools to get money from me, from them, from everyone who cared about you." "And?" His voice was dangerously calm. "You think I care? That's the world we live in. People use each other. I just realized it faster than they did." My stomach dropped. "Michael, this isn't some game. This is family, our parents, our lives. You don't get to treat them like this." He leaned forward, eyes sharp, calculating. "Family is exactly why it works. They love me. They're predictable. They'll pay because they can't handle the idea of me being hurt. That's the reality of it. And if you were honest, you would have too, if it had gone further." The words stung more than anything. He was right, and I hated that I couldn't deny it. The audience in the studio murmured, leaning forward, feeling my shock, my anger, my disbelief. Every viewer could imagine being me, betrayed, scared, helpless. I took a deep breath, forcing my trembling hands to unclench. Do you even feel guilty? 1 ounce of remorse for what you've done? He paused, gaze dropping, and for a second I thought I saw vulnerability, a flicker of shame, but it was gone as quickly as it came. Guilt doesn't solve anything, he said. I did what I had to. I don't regret it. My chest tightened. You're breaking our parents. You're destroying our family. And for what? Money? Money, he said, smirking again. Power, control, attention. Call it what you want. But yes, money is part of it. And it works. They believed it. You believed it. That's the beauty of it. The room went silent, the tension thick enough to choke on. My heart was pounding in my ears. Part of me wanted to scream, part of me wanted to collapse, and part of me, terrifyingly, understood. You're sick, I whispered. You've been playing with the people who love you most, like we're your pawns. Maybe, he said casually. Maybe I've been awake while the rest of you are still dreaming. I took a shaky step closer. No, wake up isn't what you need. You need help. Real help, because this manipulation, this cruelty, it's not smart, it's not survival, it's a disease eating you from the inside. His eyes flickered again, almost human, but he didn't speak. He just leaned back, silent. I swallowed, my voice rising with a mix of anger and desperation. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I can even look at you the same way. But I will make one thing clear. You will not destroy this family for your own gain. Not anymore. The words hung in the air, echoing off the sterile walls, heavy with finality. I could see him processing, perhaps recognizing for the first time the magnitude of what he'd done. And yet, he didn't respond. Not with apology, not with regret, not even with denial. He just stared. A dangerous calm settling back in his eyes, like a storm temporarily paused before breaking. Officer Delgado stepped forward. That's enough for now. You'll have time to discuss this further under supervision, but it's important you understand. You cannot manipulate anyone anymore. The authorities are involved and your parents are safe. Michael nodded slowly, almost respectfully, but his eyes never lost that spark, calculating, alert. Untamed. I turned away, trembling, my body heavy with relief, anger, confusion, and sorrow all at once. I had confronted him. I had spoken the truth. But did it penetrate? Did it matter? The audience in the studio sat breathless. Some gasped audibly. Some leaned forward as if they could feel my heartbeat through the screen. The tension was almost unbearable. A cinematic CAE. The air in the police station was heavy with silence after I left Michael's cell. My hands were still trembling, my heart pounding, but at least I knew the truth. My parents had been terrified, manipulated, and almost forced into sending $15,000 to someone who didn't deserve it. And my brother had finally been exposed. Officer Delgado spoke softly as I turned to leave. The investigation isn't over, he said. There will be legal consequences, and your parents are already considering therapy and support for themselves. You need to take care of your family now. I nodded, swallowing hard. But even outside, as I stepped into the cold night air, I realized the story wouldn't end here. News travels fast, and with social media, every detail of the ordeal could, and likely would, reach thousands, maybe millions. The following day, the chaos started. My parents' phone rang constantly, friends and family shocked and outraged. Emails flooded our inboxes, and online, clips of the confrontation, carefully recorded by security cameras at the station, started appearing on local news sites. Headlines screamed, "Sibling betrays family for cash. Parents almost scammed by their own child. Shocking family confrontation caught on tape." The words burned across screens, magnifying the shame, fear, and heartbreak into something global. I watched as the public reactions poured in. Some condemned Michael completely. Others debated the parents' responsibility. Many sympathized with me, the sibling caught in the middle, almost pulled into the same trap. Every comment, every tweet, every share echoed with emotion, empathy, and anger. At home, my parents clung to each other. They were exhausted, worn down, yet a fragile sense of relief lingered. They no longer had to pretend everything was fine. They no longer had to hide their tears or worry about a call in the middle of the night demanding money. "Thank God it's over," my mother whispered, her voice shaking. I took her hand, holding it tight. "It's not over," I said softly, "but we're safe. That's the first step." My father nodded, looking down, shame and exhaustion etched on his face. I can't believe he did this to us," he murmured. I let the words hang in the air, because believing it, understanding it, confronting it, these were the steps we would have to take as a family to rebuild. Michael may have broken trust, but the healing of the rest of us was just beginning. The public fallout continued to unfold online. News outlets requested interviews. Friends and acquaintances reached out, some offering support, others judgment. Social media exploded with debates, memes, and viral clips of the confrontation. It was surreal. People we had never met felt invested in our family's drama, dissecting every expression, every word, every tear. And yet, the strange thing was, in the midst of all this chaos, something shifted. People were not just watching, they were relating. Comments poured in from viewers who had faced betrayal, manipulation, or family crises of their own. Some shared stories of siblings taking advantage of them, parents being deceived or being caught in the middle of impossible situations. Every message reminded me that while our story was dramatic, it wasn't unique. And that connection, that shared human experience, created a strange kind of strength. Sitting down with my parents that evening, we talked long into the night. No yelling, no pleading, just honest conversation. We discussed boundaries, trust, and what needed to happen next. Therapy was scheduled. Michael's legal situation would play out in the coming weeks, but for the first time, we could breathe without fear. The audience, both in the studio and online, watched this unfold in real time. They saw us broken, angry, fearful, but also starting to heal. Some cried with us. Some shouted at the screen in anger at Michael. Others offered advice on reconciliation and boundaries. The response was overwhelming, but in a way that felt cathartic. And then, the most important thing happened. We realized that while our family had been manipulated and nearly destroyed, our bond was not irreparably broken. The truth had emerged, and with it, the opportunity for clarity, accountability, and healing. As I look back now, sitting in the quiet of my room after days of chaos, I realize one thing. Life can twist and betray you in the blink of an eye. Family can hurt you, intentionally or not, and people you love can make choices you never imagined. But confrontation, truth, and courage can shift even the most dire situations. And that is why I am sharing this story with you today. I want to know, if this happened in your family, what would you do? Would you confront the sibling? Would you protect your parents? Or would you step back and let the law handle it? Share your opinion in the comments. I am reading every single one, and I want to know how you would navigate the impossible choices we face